Hello. Okay, so I'm back because I'm just being very vulnerable right now. But I just got out the shower and I was thinking because I was having some me time, and sorry, it's just my nose ring. Okay, anyways, my nose piercing. But one of the big parts of me trying to step into my authentic self and also healing my sexual energy is finally getting to be in my sexual energy openly, because I've been working on being vulnerable and being um, public and in spaces, existing in spaces loudly as my true self this year. And I've been doing my YouTube channel and trying to get out there and just being more authentic to myself. And my sexual energy is never something I've really explored, because one of the big things I've had to heal is not seeing myself as a sexual being or being ashamed about it or seeing it in a light that is like some type of fulfilling some type of weird fantasy or some type of weird category, and just not seeing it as just my human sexual energy. Like there's always been some type of context around it that made it kind of traumatizing. Um, and that's both with just the way that society treats sexual energy in children and then as you get older, and then just my own things that I've had to heal and work on. But yeah, embodying my sexual energy means just talking about it more and being honest and sharing experiences that I feel like once we all begin to talk about, then it won't be so taboo. So I was just masturbating, and I was just having some me time, and I was trying to get to know myself and kind of deprogram. I guess I didn't realize I was doing this at first, but now I'm understanding that I was kind of, because I've been getting a lot of messages around sexual healing, as you can probably see through my channel. That's what I'm talking about now. Because I had to heal something around being assaulted, and since then things have been coming up, and for a while, and I mean throughout my life, sex has always been a thing for me in different contexts. It's always been something I'm confronting in some way. My hair is just really wet. but yeah, I'm trying to work on that right now. And so one of the big things I'm trying to do is deprogram my relationship with how I am during sex or during pleasure, and my relationship with like the performance of an orgasm, and just trying to figure out what gets me there, because I've just really struggled with feeling that level of pleasure, and I've really been wanting to be able to get there myself, but I've struggled. And so right now, I would say that I feel like I've never experienced the full expanse of an orgasm. I've just like gotten hints at it. Um, and so I'm trying to just let myself be and experience pleasure, and hopefully that's what's going to get me there. And so I was just like watching different videos, and for the first time, this is really funny, but also like, but I was looking up porn, and I like this company called Bellesa, Bellesa, because it's like made by women, and they like interview the sex workers, porn stars before, and like they choose who they sleep with, so it feels more ethical, and so I feel safer. I just don't feel like creepy and weird, because it's hard with the other ones. You really don't know. You really don't know if they're safe, and with this one, I think they're safe, so it makes me feel safe. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I got a sign from Spirit about a particular video to watch, which I thought was really funny, because not Spirit telling me which porn to watch, but I knew it was from Spirit because I'd been seeing mirrored numbers all day, not just synchronicities, but like 1818, or I guess maybe you would call that a synchronicity. So like 1818, and in the other video 1919, I think, other things, and this one was like 4747, or like 4646, somewhere in the 40s, 48 48, one of those. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting, so I just picked it. And the video was interesting because the way that the woman was having an orgasm and just experiencing pleasure is like kind of similar to how I experience pleasure, at least in her reactions. And that was very validating because it was like, oh, you don't have to be like loud all the time. And sometimes you're like flinching, and sometimes you don't look cute. Sometimes you're like bracing. Like it's just like a lot of like on and off. It's intense, but it's quiet sometimes. And it's like, it's not this big like, whoa, like, but it feels like that, but it doesn't have to be like that physically expressed, and that was really important for me to see. So I was like, oh my God, like, whoa, like it was the first time I felt like I saw myself, representation. And I had written an article when I was in university around different types of orgasms, like different ways that women or people with a yoni orgasm. And I think that the one that I was resonating with was the mini orgasmic one. But now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking even about how that woman must have felt as she was talking about her experience. And we have to describe it as mini because it's like these waves, but it's not small. It's very intense. And I think it's the same intensity that other people experience. It's just in a different way physically expressed. So we feel the need to be like, oh, it's actually it's less intense, but it's in waves, and overcompensate for the fact that it's not being expressed in the same way that it's expressed for other people. But I was thinking about it and I was like, no, like first of all, this is a representation of what I'm talking about when I describe the way that I am. And one of the insecurities that I had in my last relationship, and one of the things that I felt was exploited by my ex, was the way that I experienced pleasure, and like wanting me to perform more like a porn star than like a stereotypical porn star representation of yoni pleasure versus how I experience it as a woman, as somebody with a vagina, like my experience, and every person's experience who has a vagina is a representation of that experience, who experiences pleasure. But I was having to fulfill this like stereotype that wasn't true to me. So it was like a myth. I was having to basically erase my own existence and put on this facade. And it was like, and so as I was doing that, but as I was having my pleasurable time to myself, I got to a point where I wanted to try, and I just don't know why, but I just felt like I wanted to use the water, and I was like just putting energy into the water. Because at first I was looking at the water and I felt like I was literally watching the energy, because I was using the like tap, and so I was watching the water. It felt like I was watching the energy being zapped from my orgasm, from my body, from my pleasure center. I felt like I was watching my orgasmic energy go up the water thing and into the pipes and go elsewhere. And so I saw that action and I said, okay, wait. And I looked at it and I was like, no, I want the energy to go into me. So I just like basically gave the intention of pulling the orgasmic energy into my body. And as I was doing that, I was saying that I want to connect with this, I want to connect with this, I want to connect with this. And I ended with wanting to connect with my most loving higher self. And then as soon as I did that, I started getting all of these like spiritual thoughts and downloads. So number one, there is a method, you guys, that's like something you can do if you want to try and connect with your higher self immediately, because when you're in orgasmic energy, it's so natural and you just have to surrender because it's just the feeling is taking over. It's beyond, it's spiritual. It just takes over. So you're in a raw state. You're in an in-between state where you can connect if you really put the intention into it. So yeah, that was really interesting to me. So as soon as that happened, I started getting all of these messages. I got messages about being like a love scientist, which I think is connected to what I want to do. So I got personal messages, but I also as I was doing that, I was exploring the way what worked for me and what felt good and what kind of like language I like to hear, the way I like to speak, the way I like to uh, move and feel and all of these things. And I was playing with like my orgasm basically and how I wanted it to exist and for how long and things like that, like the intensity of it. And I realized that I don't like it when it's a long sustained like intensity or high. I like it like waves. I'm controlling what I like and I'm being persecuted for controlling what I like. Because anyway, so I was thinking back to my ex and I was thinking about how I would try to explain that I couldn't perform at this high level, but that was because also that's not what felt good to me. It was painful to me when it was a long, sustained intensity. I like waves. I like flowing with it, coming in and going out, so that's where the word no and the boundaries around listening to someone when they tell you to stop or when they close their legs or when they move away is important. You're not always you. It's not You're not supposed to force an orgasm. Okay, yes, I just saw 11:11. I feel like Spirit's telling me I'm on a good path. Yeah, it's sexual violence to force an orgasm. And I'm not saying this in a way where like you are an assaulter, go to jail. This is something that we all have to learn now because we are unlearning the programming that has been done around sexual energy and what's sexual violence, what's just regular, what's just an unfortunate situation, what's pleasure. We're unlearning all these things. So forcing somebody's orgasm when they're not consenting to that and they're expressing that is sexual violence. And I don't think that's why has levels. Because for me, that was a huge factor in my experience of sexual violence in my last relationship. That might not be a huge factor for someone else. It doesn't mean though that it's not sexual violence. You know what I mean? And forcing an orgasm is stealing somebody's energy and controlling the way that they exist within their own sexual energy. That's lacking their consent. And even though you're in a state and you think that you're pushing somebody's pleasure, you're actually not. Because pleasure doesn't just look like what you think it looks like. It's pleasurable for me to stop. Like, I need to, like, stop. I need to pull away. I need to close my legs. I need to, like, control my orgasm. I don't want it to control me, right? Because it's a powerful energy. It's the energy of creation, honestly. It's not no weak shit. So it can take over you. That's why they talk about somebody orgasming does not mean that they are, that they weren't assaulted, right? Because there are survivors who have had an orgasm, even though they were being assaulted. It's much bigger than, it doesn't only come with pleasure in the way that we see it. Pleasure can exist on its own without it, if in that stereotypical way, without it actually feeling good, and without it actually being good for you, and you consenting to that. So you pushing through somebody's orgasm because you think that it's that you're like doing good for them is not cool. And that's one of the boundaries that we need to draw, or that we should be able to feel comfortable drawing. Yeah, that is something that was just coming up. So don't force your own orgasm in order to fulfill this idea of what an orgasm is supposed to feel like. Take your time. Like for me, I can have like long lasting sex because I like my orgasm drawn out. It's like a full experience to me. And I can stop when I want to stop, and I can keep going, and I can start again, because that's how I like it. For some people, it's like go, and then I'm done, and then I'm going to sleep. For other, it's different for everyone. But that's me. And so the way I experience pleasure is a little bit different. But it's valid. And the way you experience pleasure is valid. And you should get someone who understands that, understands your body, understands pleasure, how to please you. So all of that is very important. yeah, Spirit just dropping gems. Mid. Yeah. Um, it made me excited though, because I am excited to advocate for myself. And I'm excited to have sexual experiences that are reflective of what I actually enjoy. It was funny because I was like talking to myself to see what kind of like dirty talk I enjoy, and it was like partially embarrassing, partially embarrassing what I liked. Like I was like, "Bitch, why do you like this?" But part of that made me laugh even more. Like humor is a huge part of pleasure for me, like of sexual pleasure for me, and like just joy. Like I want to be having a good time, you know. I don't want it to just be like and like that's it. Like I want to laugh. Like all of that is fun to me, on top of the more serious, you know, energies. But yeah, I learned a lot during that experience. I might make this like a diary series. I might make this like a diary series. I'm just trying to add comedy into sexual energy. Because right now it's too serious to the point where no one can talk about it unless it's very serious, or it's like comedic in a way that's not really funny, or it's too lighthearted and then there's no grounding. Like I'm just trying to add like educational like here's a fellow human just trying to master this area of life because it's something that's enjoyable, and I'm realizing the magic that's in it, and the great goddesses have been trying to tell us that. But yeah, so try to use water, and look at the energy of the water and the movement of the water, and use it to fill in your own, fill up your own like orgasmic energy tank, and put intentions into the water, and do it as your, and really think about it, like focus on it. Because I don't think, like for me, even as I was focusing on that, it didn't take away from the pleasure I was experiencing. It kind of like made it productive but fun. That slow, drawn out energy. That's what I was talking about. Oh, fuck. No! There's bugs in here. I left the thing open because I was just wanted air, but then I turned all the lights on, so now there's freaking things in here. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna go now. Ah, God, it's huge. It's a moth. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye. Someone look up the significance of moths. Yeah, but I'm gonna like look into this like sexual science stuff. I swear to God, I'm gonna become a scientist, and it's gonna be around like love and relationships. I want my PhD. I want to be called a doctor. A love doctor is what I was saying, but not doctor like medicine, more like doctor like science, which I guess is medicine, so it's all the same thing. But yeah. Okay. Toodaloo. Bye.